It was raining that night. Cold drops fell quietly through the air. I parked down the street and stared at my house. The lights were bright, like a party I wasn't invited to. Laughter poured out of the open windows. I heard music playing and glasses clinking. At the gate, my father sat shaking from the cold. His old hands were wrapped around his knees. His eyes looked empty and confused. When he saw me, he looked up, completely soaked. "Son," he said softly, his voice shaking, "why won't they let us in?" That simple question, so innocent and full of pain, cut deep into my heart. For years, I thought my life was perfect. I had a loving wife, caring in-laws, and a house I built myself with money I saved over many years. When my mother passed away, my father became my only real family. I promised her before she died that I would never leave him alone. So when my wife suggested that my father move in with us, I felt relieved. I thought she truly understood. Her parents also visited us often, too often. They always had something to say. They told me how my house should look, what my father should eat, and how I should act. I believed their interference meant they cared. But real care doesn't come with rules and demands. That's when things slowly began to change. My father stopped coming to dinner. He would sit alone on the back porch, staring at the garden. One day, I asked him if everything was okay. He gave a weak smile and said, "I think your wife's family doesn't like having old people around." I ignored it at first, until the day I came home early from work. I heard laughter in the living room. My wife was there with her parents and cousins. Then I heard my father's bedroom door close. A moment later, her mother's voice echoed down the hallway. Finally, he got the message. "That old man smells like death. Your husband may not notice, but we do." There was silence. Then my wife whispered something that broke me inside. "He'll be gone soon. I'll make sure of it." I stood outside the door, my fists tight, my heart racing. I didn't confront them that night. I wanted to, more than anything. But a voice inside me said, "Wait." From that moment on, I became invisible in my own home. I smiled, nodded, and agreed with everything. But I listened carefully. Every insult, every cruel joke, every hateful word about my father, I remembered them all. While they were busy mocking the man who gave me everything, I quietly began to change the game beneath their feet. The house was in my name, so I quietly refinanced it. I moved my assets, changed the insurance beneficiaries, and created a trust in my father's name. Every penny they thought they would inherit was redirected. Then I waited. That night, the night of the party, they crossed a line I never thought they would. My father called me, his voice shaking. "They said there's no room for me tonight," he said. "They said the guests wouldn't be comfortable." He gave a small laugh, but it wasn't funny. It was pure heartbreak. I left my office without saying a word. When I reached the house, the gate was locked. My father was sitting outside in the cold while they celebrated inside. They were drinking from my glasses and eating from my plates. And my wife, was dancing barefoot on the floor I had built for our future. That was the moment I knew it was over. I helped my father into the car and drove him to a warm hotel suite I had booked earlier that week. "You'll sleep here tonight," I told him. "Tomorrow, everything will change." He didn't ask what I meant. Maybe he already knew. The next morning, I walked into the house. The mess from the party was everywhere. Spilled wine, empty bottles, and the heavy feeling of arrogance still hanging in the air. My in-laws were stretched out on the couches, half asleep. My wife looked up at me, surprised. "You're home early," she said softly. "Not home," I replied calmly. "Just visiting." I placed a folder on the table. Inside are photos, recordings, bank papers, proof of your greed, your abuse, and your manipulation. Her father laughed. "You think this will scare us?" I smiled. "No. I think the eviction notice taped to the front door will." They laughed again, until my lawyer walked in behind me. That's when the color drained from their faces. The house was legally mine. The trust one created made sure the house and everything inside it belonged to my father. They were given 30 minutes to leave. When my wife finally understood what that meant, she broke down. "You can't do this," she cried. "I can," I said calmly. "And I already have." Chaos followed. They rushed around the house, shouting and cursing. Her parents packed in panic, stuffing jewelry into bags. My wife begged, cried, and promised she would change. But I didn't raise my voice. I didn't move. I just watched. When they were finally gone, the silence felt heavy, but clean. I called my father. "Come home," I said. When he arrived, I placed the keys in his hand. He looked at me, confused, tears filling his eyes. "This is your home, Dad," I said. "It always was, and it always will be." He tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. I could see the pain and humiliation fade from his face, replaced by quiet relief.